Hey everybody, it's Felisa. So I don't know if this vlog will ever see the light of day. Who am I kidding? It probably will. But I was thinking about this topic because I kind of just been ruminating on it for the greater part of a day because it's just how my mind works. But anyway, the reason that I came upon this topic was, quite by accident, and it was really more of a revelatory kind of situation for me. It's a friend of mine's birthday, and so I mean, we're Facebook friends, but I was sending him a text message, and I was, just like, happy 40th birthday, blah blah blah. He's 10 years younger than I am, and like in that moment, it occurred to me that every single man that has approached me and that I have, in my head at least, considered to have been a dating partner post divorce have all been younger than I am. And so I started to think about that. I'm like, first of all, that was not intentional. I don't fancy myself to be a cougar. I don't feel like I put out cougar vibes. Like, I'm not deliberately going after somebody's son in that manner. So when I started to like reflect over the relationships that I've had over the past, I don't know, 15 plus years, I'm like, every without question, every single guy is younger than I am. Starting with this guy who was 10 years younger than I am, and I'll give a little backstory and a little bit of context, even though I don't think that the context really matters, but just so that y'all know. So I married young. I had my first son when I was 19. We ultimately wound up getting married, and so I spent most of my they're not my formative years, but definitely, like my indoctrination into adulthood and, coming into myself and things of that nature. Like, I was married and I was in a relationship. I always had like this weird fantasy about relationships and about marriage, primarily because I think that I myself am a product of a divorced household, and my father, if you've seen my daddy issues vlog and all that kind of stuff, like, my dad left when I was 6 years old, and I didn't see him again until I was 26. So he was gone for 20 years, and that affected me tremendously, and I'm not unaware of that. Like, I take great pains and go to great lengths to make sure that I acknowledge that, because I think that it affects the way that I view relationships and how I perceive interacting with the opposite sex. Fortunately, my dad and I were able to reconcile and have a semblance of a relationship before he passed away in 2015. But I would be lying if I said that I was unscathed by that experience. That's just not a thing. Anyway, so I had my first son when I was 19. My ex-husband and I got married shortly thereafter. We went on to have a second son and two daughters. And so I was with him probably from about, I want to say that I was 17. I met him like that February. I turned 18 that May. And we were together up until I was about 31. So that span of time. The relationship in and of itself was acrimonious. There are a lot of things that I can and probably will touch on in that relationship, but I don't want to do it for the purpose of this vlog because it's not meaningful nor relevant, and I'll get off on a tangent. But just suffice it to say that there is a reason for the divorce, and I wound up leaving in, I want to say, 2000. So I didn't file for divorce right away. Like, I was heavily into the church. I was really, believing that God would save my marriage, save my relationship, because that's what I really, really wanted. Like, I didn't want my children to experience the pain of growing up without their dad, growing up in a single parent household, even though my mother was fabulous and awesome and all those kinds of things. It's just not optimal, and I knew that from the gate. So I really, really it was really my hope and my desire that we reconcile. And so I wanted to go to counseling. He was not up for that, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it was just a whole bunch of mess. And so I wasn't really in a rush to file for divorce. Matter of fact, I remember 9/11 happening, and we were still separated. And I was so upset about 9/11 and, thinking, I don't know, just my weird infantile mind at the time, that life is short, etc., etc. But he still was not making any gains to really reconcile. And the reason that I even filed for divorce was because he continuously would say things like, well, you're still my wife. As my wife, you need to do such and such, such, such. And I got like a petty streak. Like, I'm really going to act like I'm working on it, but I'm not. I'm just not. It's gotten better, but yeah, back then, no, girl, sister was barely saved. Anyway, so because he kept saying things like that, like, you're still my wife, blah, 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 I filed for divorce in that January. So that was like January 2002. The reason for me giving you that context and the backstory is because I started dating this guy, the one that I was talking about that's 10 years my junior, in that time. Now, I think it's important to mention two things. Number one, he was heavily involved in the ministry, called to the pastorate. He was a complete and absolute gentleman, and we were never physically intimate. I did find myself developing feelings for him, like against my better judgment. There were definitely some differences and some, some personality mismatch that would have given me pause, but as on its face, he would have been a decent mate, and I believe with my whole heart that he would have treated me well. I started seeing him, and I was very open and honest with him and told him that I was separated the whole time, that I wasn't yet divorced, which may or may not have influenced the way that he, even approached me. He never pressured me for, a physical kind of relationship. I mean, I'm not going to say we can kiss or whatever, or hug, but it was never anything untoward or hedonistic. He was very, very respectful, and I want to make sure that I say that because I, to this day, respect him for giving me that respect. But if I was like 31, when we started to really kind of like go out and hang out, he was 21. Like, that was not a thing. Like, that, oh my God, just the disparity in life experience. I mean, even though he was never bothered by the fact that I had 4 kids and never bothered by the fact that I was a divorcee, or at least planning on being a divorcee, he was quite agreeable and amenable to all those things, and seemed to be ready and willing to take that on, whatever that meant. It just was kind of nagging me in the back of my head, especially since he didn't have children and my uterus was closed. So that was never really an option. And then the weird thing about our relationship is, like, we literally just, we're kind of hanging out. Like, we knew that we were interested in each other, and we knew that there was a physical attraction, or at least some symbols of our attraction, but we never really had like defined, like, you're my guy or I'm your girl or whatever. So as such, I can't say that we just broke up. Like, we didn't. And I can't even remember how we stopped seeing each other, except to say that I believe that I put it into it. I just thought that it had run its course. And I tend to do things like that. Anyway, moving on, like I told you guys, I don't have a lot of like boyfriends. Like, that's not a thing. Like, I don't have a lot of boyfriends. I don't have a lot of like relationships. So I was single for quite a long time, and then entered the last serious relationship that I had, and we were like off and on for 10 years, 5 years the first time, and then he came back and tried it again for like a year, and he still wasn't ready, and it was just like a complete and total waste of my time. He's like 5 years younger than I am, and I feel like he just BS'd his way through that relationship, and he wasn't serious, and it is what it is. But he was younger as well, even though he was only like 5 years younger. And now, I don't even know what to call this situationship that I find myself in. Like, I really like this guy and I'm really interested in him, but in the back of my head, like, I know that it can't work. I know that it's not something that is going to go the distance. He's 13 years younger than I am, even though, he's very mature, and he's I love his personality. I love his wit. I think that he gets me on a lot of different levels. One of the difficulties that I always have, particularly with him, is he has no children. And like I have mentioned before, this is closed. I don't even know if I can get pregnant. Like, that's not something that I, like, you don't play with that. Like, you don't be like, let me just see. Like, that's not a thing. So you just don't even know. Like, I assume that because I have carried 4 children and because I have successfully delivered other children previous to this, that I can. But my youngest daughter is 20, and who is doing that? Like, I feel like if I went and I told my children now that I was pregnant, they would commit me, and rightfully so. Like, mom, like, you're about to be 50 years old. Like, what are you doing? I don't give a crap what Janet is doing. I don't care what all these celebrities are doing with all these nutritionists and access to trainers. I am a fluffy mama from the Midwest who has a finite access to resources and being able to get this little unsnapback body into some semblance of shape. Like, I just don't even know that that's a thing. I would be a geriatric pregnancy. I would be someone who is considered an elderly person carrying a child. I can't ask anybody to give up that dream and that hope, especially if they don't have children. So that is always nagging at me in the back of my mind. I don't know what this man wants from me. I don't know. Like, of course, you can have fun and things like that, but like, I'm beyond the time where I want to have fun. Like, I want to go out, I want to date, I want somebody who is interested in me, I want somebody to pursue me, I want somebody, like, I don't want a situationship. I don't want to just, like, I'm not just interested in sex. Like, that's just not a thing. Like, sex is everywhere. Y'all know this. Like, you don't even have to be in a relationship to have sex. You don't have to be in a relationship to find sex. If you have a vagina and somebody else has an opposing genital, or even the same genital, if you into that kind of thing, whatever, you don't have to go far to find sex. Like, I'm really at the age where I want something meaningful and I want something long lasting, and I don't want to play games, and I don't want to, like, text back and forth. Like, I don't want any of that. And it's just so difficult and so hard because I might be interested in someone and they don't have children. And so now I got to think, do you want kids? Because I'm not the girl for you. And, and letting my heart get involved and letting my emotions be involved, it's just not, like, that's not benefiting me anything. So then I feel badly about it, because then I'm like, well, Lord, am I closing myself off to somebody who can be absolutely great? And what does this even mean? Because it's not something that I'm inclined to do. Now, of course, most women, even though we're adamant about whatever, we can be convinced to do something contrary, especially if it's against our own personal best interest. If we love you, like, I've known women who have had children just because they were absolutely head over heels in love with the man that they gave these children to. I personally don't want to be another single mama. Like, I didn't sign up for that the first time. It just kind of happened to me. And I hate that it did. And this shit is exhausting. Excuse my language. But it is. Like, it's exhausting. I don't want to do that. There for a long time, I had the fantasy of, doing things the right way. Whatever that meant. But, like, I wanted the whole, rub my belly and talk to it and make me feel like a princess and rub my little swollen feet and, help me with my hemorrhoids. But the reality is, beyond all of that and beyond all of that Instagram, commentating and, things of that nature, is a newborn and waking up every, 4 to 6 hours. If I don't even know if that's the right interval anymore, or, sore breasts because you're breastfeeding, and daycare issues, and, getting them through these stages. Like, I don't know that that's something that I want to do. Matter of fact, that's not something that I really want to do. And I don't even know that anybody wants me to do that. Like, seriously, I got a 30-year-old at the top and a 20-year-old at the bottom. I'm someone's grandmother. And while I think that I will be a phenomenal mother at this age because of course, wisdom and patience and things of that nature, I don't know if that's a good idea for me to do that. And I can't, in good conscience, ask any man to give that up for me, especially if they have had every dream in the world of being a father. Like, that really nags at me and it bothers me. And it hurts my feelings because for the longest time, all I ever wanted to do was be a mom. Like, seriously, like, I didn't have any other aspirations, no other dreams. Like, I wanted to be a mother, and I've been able to do that, and I love my DNA holders with everything in me and wouldn't give them up for the world, even though they drive me crazy. I just think that asking someone to abandon that for no other reason other than I just don't want to. Is like, that's so inappropriate, and I could never do that. And then, you know, the flip side of that is, you know, dating younger men who have children who are like, I don't even know that I want to do, like, you know, men who have children who are like 5, 7, that still have to go to latchkey and still have, you know, different things. Like, I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to live my life. And so the disparity and the differences are great. And I sound selfish as hell, but I think that you earn the right to be that way at 50. Like, when else can you be selfish? Like, my mother, if my mother texted me, my mother is going to be 72 in June. God bless her heart. My mother is the ultimate sacrificer, especially in this family. She has given so much. And if I had the money and the means, like, I swear to God, I would deposit $25,000 in her checking account tomorrow and tell her to book a trip around the world and tell her to be gone for a year. Check in, because I get real nervous. But, like, I would want her to enjoy her life. You know why? Because she did her time. Like, she don't owe me nothing. I'm 50. Like, if I don't have it now, I ain't gonna never get it. And them kids that I have, those are my responsibilities. I will need to be able to deal with them and all their craziness and their insanity and things of that nature. If they are feeling the lunch, then I need to really go back and check. Although I don't take responsibility for that, because I taught those Negroes what to do. A lot of them just don't do it. That's another vlog. But anyway, I don't know. And I see women who have vast age differences, and I wonder how they make that work. Like, Tina Turner seems to be super in love with her guy. Now, I know they've been together for like 20 some odd years, and she's like in her 70s and he's in his 50s or something like that. And he seems like he just loves her dirty jaws, which is amazing. So I'm not saying that it can work. I'm just saying that, you know, there are certain challenges that I'm aware of. I'm somebody that wants to be married. I don't want to waste my time with anybody, and I don't want anybody to waste their time with me. Like, I don't want placeholders anymore. I don't want, you know, like, I'm just not even interested in like casual sex, casual dating. Like, I'm so over that. I want somebody to be my best friend. I want somebody to, you know, to come home to. I want somebody to, like, you know, complain about the tire pressure or whatever it is that, I don't know. And, you know, I'm using all of that as a reference, but the reality is, like, I want to be able to share my life. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to do these different things. And it's bizarre to me that I keep attracting like these guys who probably aren't at that life level that I'm at, and it just baffles me. So now I'm wondering, like, am I giving off a mama vibe? Like, do I give off like a breastfeeding vibe? Do I give off like, come to me and, you know, I'll nurture you and hold your head in my bosom? I mean, I think that that's my tendency, period. But, like, if that's something that I'm giving off and guys are attracted to that, but it's not beneficial to me, like, I need to be able to change that. I don't know. Ladies, if you guys have experienced this, please drop a comment below. Guys, if you are, you know, really attracted to older women for whatever reason, why? What is it about us? Seriously, I'm so wanting to know, because I'm not necessarily saying that I need to change it. I'm just saying that, you know, like, I'm ready just for something different. I'm ready. I'm really ready for a meaningful and comprehensive relationship. And I'm not saying that it can't be with a younger guy. Like, I don't care, just as long as we're, like, on the same page, because that whole baby thing, pardon me, I'm unable to can. And the crazy thing about me is that I might be able to be convinced to do something stupid like that, and then I'll regret it, because the only reason that I did it was because I wanted to please my mate, which on its face is not necessarily a bad thing. But come on now, parenting is not something that you select by default. Like, okay, you know what, go ahead, use my uterus. Like, that's not something that you should ever say. And in my heart, I feel like I gave everything that I could give to the human beings that are here. And I'm a grandmother. Like, okay, so yeah. Y'all let me know. Leave your commentary below, and I will talk to y'all later on. Bye.